What's up, YouTube? Coming at you with a impromptu video. I'm Prof Sales, and this is the Prof Sales YouTube channel. So we talk about being a reseller, talk about selling on Amazon, eBay, e-commerce platforms, all that good stuff. Making a business for yourself, changing your life, hopefully, for the better. And this is sort of an impromptu show. I didn't schedule it or anything. Normally we come on a little bit later than this, but I don't know. This just seemed like the right time to come on. So here we are. As you see, I am without my sidekick, Kaaren, today. Again, I will be without her all week, which is very disappointing, I know, for you guys, but even more disappointing for me. But I'm here, and so we'll talk, and, you know, we'll see what happens. But thank you guys for coming on today. I know there's already people filling up in the room and so on, which is cool. I know I didn't schedule it, so my apologies for that, but I was kind of like, what am I going to talk about today? And, you know, you have those days where you're like, you know, what's the topic going to be? How am I going to structure it? And then you're just like, whatever, just do it. So that's where I'm at. But thanks for you guys coming on and joining me today. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. I'd love to hear from you. Question or comment. And if you're old to the channel, then cool. But I'm glad you're still here. But yeah, so I'd like you guys, if you think this video will be valuable to you, and I know we haven't gotten the content, but you see at some point that it is, hit the share button. It's right below the video player. It just creates a little post, a little link, and you can share it on social media, share it in an email or text, and I certainly appreciate it. So we're letting the room fill up here a little bit, especially since I came on kind of late. And I appreciate you guys being here, like I said, with an impromptu show. Sue says, I have a pile of books and I never sent them in. Sue, we should talk. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to talk to you guys. This will be a, I don't know if I call it a transition show. I don't know. I always think transitions in life are weird because usually you don't realize that you really went through the transition until you're kind of through it. And then you realize, oh, that was a period when everything changed. And it's hard to kind of figure it out. It's hard for most people say, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it's all going to be different. And I'm like, that's not the way it works for most people. Most people wake up and they're like, oh, I'm going to do some things today. And then they do a couple new things. And the next day, maybe they do a few more new things. And all of a sudden one day it's all different. And they realize it and they're like, oh, cool. Life is different. Business is different. And so I think that's what I'm going to make this show today. Retro Dottie says, closing my book warehouse. Hit me up for books. I absolutely will, potentially. I don't know. What do you got? What do you got good? But I called the title of this video, Time to Sell Some Books on Amazon FBA, because if you watched the last show that I did on Monday, then you realize that I had, I don't know, how do you characterize the show on Monday? You guys in the chat tell me. How would you characterize it for those of you watching? I know some of you here in the chat were watching Monday. It was a different kind of show for me because I was talking about, you know, what things had worked for me and what things were no longer working for me. And I really didn't tell a lot on, I really didn't say too much about, you know, the future and what exactly was going to happen because I don't totally know. That's just being honest. And I did discuss about how the model that I was selling on eBay was no longer doing it for me. I didn't like it. I didn't think eBay as a platform, for selling pre-owned clothing made sense for me going forward. So I was reevaluating that and definitely going to do it differently. Some people said it was disheartening, thought-provoking, depressing, but hopefully cathartic, sad. I love you guys. Like, the fact you thought it was sad means you thought probably on some level that I was sad. And that was kind of some of the comments I got on the video Monday. If you haven't watched it, go back and check it out. It was 2 days ago from this video. And I appreciate that. Like, I appreciate that I put myself out here. Kaaren puts herself out here. many of you guys, some of you guys we've met in real life, but many of you we haven't, and many of you we never will for various reasons. But you feel a connection to me just as I feel a connection to you. And that's real. And even though we're not, interacting every day, there's still like a sense of, community and connection as a creator you have with the people who come on your channel. And so I appreciate you guys, saw like Monday's show for all these different things that it was. But Kelly has a great comment here. She says, I didn't think it was sad or depressing. I thought it was real. Julia says, a revelation show. Yeah. I mean, somebody commented and thought that it was sad and that I was a man. How do they put it? That I was a man who had put in all this work and effort and had nothing to show for it. That's not true at all. Like that, maybe I just didn't do a very good job of spelling it out Monday, but I don't think that that's true at all. First of all, I think you learn something from everything you do and everything you don't do. Sorry, let me turn that off. But I don't view that the time, I got a comment also that said, you've put all this work into it, nothing to show for it, and you're changing things a lot. I'm like, I don't think I do that at all. Like I've sold jeans for the past 4 years nearly on eBay. I've sold shoes for the last 2. Those haven't stopped. I've sold thousands and thousands of items. I have been here, I've had some different milestones and markers and so on that I've aimed for, but I don't think what I've done has really changed that much in the last few years. I mean, maybe I'm just totally out of touch with myself, but I don't think it was that at all. I think that, I have come to a revelation, as someone said it a moment ago, that the model that I've been using doesn't really meet with my objectives going forward. That's not failure. That's reality. That's understanding your business and what you need out of it and all these things that I think a lot of people never get to. I mean, how many of you out there have full-time or even part-time jobs, and maybe you've been in those jobs for a long time and you don't feel like you're getting anywhere? That's how it's kind of felt with me with the way I've been selling on eBay. And I think I think once you realize that about yourself, you can take steps to remedy that and move differently. I mean, I felt like that's what the show was supposed to be about Monday. And like I said, maybe I didn't do a very good job of explaining that to everyone, but I just feel like that it wasn't supposed to be a sad or depressing show. If you got that from it, I'm not sad or depressed. I get encouraged and excited when I realize that, there's something that I think there's something better to do. There's a different way to go. And that's how it was for me. And that's how it's been for me for the past, 2-3 weeks. I really started thinking about a lot of things. But Connie says it great here and says, it was thought-provoking. It made me think about where I was at my business. Yes, that was the point of Monday's show. If you took nothing else from it but that, you should always be evaluating what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it. Because if you're not, you end up in this place one day where you realize, I've just bought myself a job. I've created a job for myself with this business. It's not really meeting my objectives, and not just money. We're not talking about just money here. I mean, money is part of the equation, but it's not the only part of the equation. And it's not meeting your objectives. It's not doing it for you anymore. And you progress to something new. That's progress. So I just think that you have to be able to look at yourself, look at what you're doing at all times, and realize that, it's always an evolution, guys. It never ends. You never get settled. You never get comfortable. I mean, I don't think that's the place to be at. Like, that's when you get comfortable like that, that's kind of when you start going backwards. That's when you start dying a bit. It's never easy. It's always the journey more so than it is, you know, individual things. But I hope that that some people at least saw that show Monday and got that out of it instead of this, oh my gosh, Prof is depressed, or Prof is trying too many different things, or he's this, or that was not it at all. So please go back and rewatch it, maybe with that perspective and that mindset. And I think maybe you'll see it a little differently. Because guys, here's the thing. We're all too valuable. We're all too worthy as human beings to spend our days, to spend our hours, putting all those days and hours into something that's not fulfilling and doesn't allow us to fulfill the lives of those around us. That's never the right choice. I don't care what money it is. I don't care if you're making $10 million a year. You know, who was it? Tim Ferriss, who wrote in the 4-Hour Workweek, talked about how he had this job that was making ridiculous money at. You know, he's probably making $1 million a year or more, but he had no life. He had no time or energy to himself. It was all about business, business, business. And it's like, well, what are you making that money for? What is it giving you? What are you using it for? Because it's just a means to an end. There's nothing inherently valuable about the money itself. It's just what we say that it allows us to do or not do. So he backed away. He downsized his commitment to the business. He outsourced himself and figured out ways to replace himself. And I think that's the genius of that book. And I think that's what we should all be striving for, because you know, you're not going to reach your end of days and think, man, I wish I'd spent more time selling clothing on eBay. You're not. Nobody's going to say that. You're going to say, well, I wish I'd spent more time doing things that mattered. I wish I'd spent more time helping others. I wish I'd spent more time with my family. I wish I'd spent more time with my husband or my wife, my friends. I wish I had gone to places that I'd never seen before and wanted to. Those are the things you might wish for. But you're not going to wish you had spent more time at work or at a job, you know, or in your business. I really don't think so. But just think about it in those terms. And thank you guys for the comments too. I appreciate them so far. I've probably missed a few, but sorry, I'm trying to read through these. My headstone will read, she took great pics of socks. Does anybody know the movie Spinal Tap? I'm reminded of what he said when they asked about his tombstone. He said, I want my tombstone it was David St. Hubbins, I think. Here lies David St. Hubbins, and why not? I just thought that was so classic. And why not? Great movie, by the way. But anyway, all right. So I'm not gonna dwell on the show on Monday, because you know, you guys can go watch it for yourself. And I do seriously appreciate the comments. I don't think there were really negative comments. I just think there were comments that misconstrued my point. And that's fine. I mean, I'm going to say things and people aren't going to take it the way that I intend it. And there's nothing I can do about that. So I try to be careful with that, but let's move forward here, because I want to talk to you guys about the title of this video, and it ties in to, you guys are giving me Spinal Tap quotes. Stop. You're going to totally distract me. It's not very hard. But the title of this video ties into what I was talking about Monday. And I mentioned this on Monday a little bit, because I don't like the part of eBay where you cannot figure out if something's going to sell, when it's going to sell, how much it's going to sell for, how many are going to sell in what time frame. Like, that part of eBay leaves me feeling very insecure about my business, projections, profit, revenue, all those things, expenses. You know, that's very difficult, I think, with an eBay business to figure out, because of just the nature of what I've been doing on eBay and what I've been selling, and the nature of eBay itself. It's sort of a combination of things. It's not all eBay, it's me too. So one of the things that I've really started putting some time into research is ways to develop models that could be more, you know, that I could replicate and figure out kind of, what's going to sell and when and how and for how much. And one of the models that I've explored has been selling books on Amazon. Now, those of you who've been with me on this channel a while know that I don't particularly care for selling books. But part of the reason I didn't care, or I don't care for selling books, is the mind-numbing monotony and boredom of scanning books. Because if you sell books on Amazon, or if you've ever tried to sell books on Amazon, you know that one of the ways a lot of people do it is they get scanners that attach to apps on your phone, and you go into a thrift store or yard sale or whatever, and you scan the barcodes of books, and you have some parameters set up that tell you whether or not the book will sell and for how much. Not will it sell, but how much it might sell for. You can also do that with the Amazon Seller app, which is a free app. Once you become a seller on Amazon, you can get that free app and scan things too. But it doesn't give you the information that you can get from these third-party applications like Camel. Keepa is another one. There's some great other apps out there, one of which I'll mention in a moment I've been starting to use. And that part of it, though, like the scanning part, is kind of nuts to me. Not nuts. I say that in a bad way. I just offended all the booksellers on YouTube. My apologies. It's not nuts. It's necessary, but it's not nuts. It's just not what I want to spend my hours doing. Let's just say it like that. All right. But you definitely can find some winners out there. You're going to find a lot of things that are not really that great, and you're just going to make a little bit of money on. But the cool thing about selling books, for instance, which is one of the things I've considered, is that books are easy to send in. They're easy to prep. They can be warehoused at Amazon, or you can sell them yourself, merchant fulfilled, and they both have their advantages and disadvantages. But you can also see sales data. That is one of the things that's really missing from eBay. I can take any book with a barcode and show you over the lifetime that book has been listed on Amazon how many sales it's had in that time, and sort of the pricing that's happened along the way as well. And once you know that, you can make a prediction about that book and will it sell in the future and for how much and when and so on, right? I like that about books a lot. Like, that is a huge advantage. Now, there are other things you can do that with on Amazon as well. You can do that with toys. You can do that with video games to some degree. But I think there's a lot of, pluses to that sort of business model, because you can replicate success to some degree. It's not perfect, but it's certainly a lot better than if you're selling, Levi 515 bootcut size 6 regular. I can't tell you when that pair of jeans is going to sell. Will it sell? Of course. It could be tomorrow. It could be a year from now. There's no way for me to know. There's no way for me to tell you 100% when you're going to sell that jean, or even come close. Not as close as I could come with some of the things that are there. But Amazon, because of their superior sort of behind-the-scenes analytics and so on, and APIs that they use, can connect to these apps and so on. You can figure this stuff out. So the other way that I've discovered to sell books, which is, and I bought my first 4 books today doing this method, the first 4 using this method, is something called online arbitrage. So here's where it gets interesting with books on Amazon. And I said this to Luke earlier today, and he had no idea this existed. I didn't know this existed till about a week or so ago. There is a niche for people to, not a niche, there's a way to buy books that are merchant fulfilled. People are selling, out of their home or selling very cheaply, and flip those books back as FBA at a higher price. So effectively, you're doing an Amazon to Amazon flip. And I know people out there know about Amazon to eBay and eBay to Amazon flips, and those things are a little bit different. But this is one where sometimes, especially larger booksellers, want to dump copies that are perfectly good, but have a high FBA price. And so you, by buying the book, merchant fulfilled, getting it shipped to you, and by the way, Amazon's got a great return policy, so if you have any issues with the book, you can send it back. Like, they're going to take your side on it. This is where it's, all the guys who are sellers on eBay, like, how frustrating it can be with returns. Well, this is a case where the returns work in your favor, but those books can be sent back into Amazon FBA and sell at a premium because Prime members pay a higher or tend to pay a higher cost, a higher buy cost for some books. And there's certain times of the year, things like textbooks, for instance, have a seasonality to them. I didn't know that this existed. And I certainly didn't know that there is software and things out there like that that allow you to do this, to allow you to literally go on and arbitrage books from one place. This is kind of like retail arbitrage for those of you who buy toys or buy video games. Like you buy things on clearance and you sell them at closer to retail back on Amazon. It's no different, except you're not walking in a store. I can do this anytime, day or night, and I can have them shipped right to me. I don't have to go get them. It's brilliant, and it's not an end-all be-all, but it certainly helps offset the need to only be scanning books, because I think that is really where you can make some really great profit per book. You may have to pay up a little more for it, but I'm okay with that if the profit is there on the back end. So between those two, I think you can come up with a pretty cool model of online arbitraging some books and scanning some books. And then the other thing I've thought about is that it wouldn't be hard to send somebody out in the field, like a contractor, with a scanner. And this software that's out there is great because it allows you to say, all right, scan these books, and the software automatically accepts or rejects the item. I was talking with Kaaren last night. One of the problems we had with the jeans model, for instance, is it was so hard to figure out how to get somebody to source jeans, not how to figure it out, but it would be so difficult to train someone to source jeans. Because if they came to it new and knew nothing about eBay and nothing about clothing, which is great, I mean, they're a blank slate, but it would take months for them to get it right. And there's still gonna be times they're gonna make mistakes, and items are gonna have to be returned, or you're gonna have to eat it, whatever. When you're scanning things that you have an app that tells the person to accept or reject the item based on the sales metrics, there's no possibility of confusion. Like they scan it and it says accept, or they scan it and it says reject. It even makes an audible sound that's different for an accept versus a reject. They don't even need to look at their phone. They can literally do it with Bluetooth scanners. And you can do the same thing when you're in there scanning as well. You can literally get these little Bluetooth scanners, connect to your phone, put an earbud in if you want, and just sit there and scan and not even look at your phone. You don't have to look anything up. It's already figured out for you if that meets your criteria or not. So I love that kind of engineered thinking around sourcing, around selling. Like that to me is so in my wheelhouse of what I like. Like Kaaren and I were looking through some books this morning to online arbitrage them, and I passed on the majority of them, but I did find some that I thought will be great. And they should be, I mean, there's no guarantee of anything, but they should sell and sell for a good profit. And I don't know that there's like, books is a great way to start only because books are plentiful and available and you can find them everywhere. And yes, to some of you in the chat saying, the majority of the millions and millions of books on Amazon are not worth selling on Amazon. Let's be clear. Just like I would argue the majority of the clothing that's out there is not worth selling on eBay, in my opinion. It's not worth your time and energy to put into it. Books require less time and energy. I mean, you literally could potentially scan 500, maybe even 1,000 books in an hour. How are you going to look through 500 to 1,000 clothing items in an hour? Not possible. Where you don't have to look anything up because it's already in there and preset for you. Like that to me is efficient. That to me is how to scale. That to me is something you could outsource to someone else to do. It kind of checks all the boxes. And it's not impossible to think about sending that person or you yourself doing it with other items, other categories. Books is just one, and it's great because it's easy to get into. It's quick, it's simple. But it's just sort of checked all the boxes for me to this point, and I don't know how it'll turn out. I bought 6 books today. I bought 1 textbook over the weekend, and then I bought 4 other books this morning. So I guess I bought about 11. So I'm a veteran. Okay, not a veteran. But I just think that guys, don't stay stuck in a model that's just got you like a hamster on a wheel. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, it's just, there's more to life than just grinding it out in some of these models. And I know you've got to put in the quote unquote, the time and the energy, but the time and the energy, you should spend your time and your energy figuring out how to spend less of your time and energy and spend more of someone else's time and energy to get your results. That to me is the equation you need to figure out. And that's an ongoing process. And books, as some people have said here in the chat, are not as good as they used to be in some cases. That's true. It's just like anything else. It's evolved. So you've got to be pickier and choosier. Thankfully, technology's made it a little bit easier. So I just want to share some of that with you guys. I didn't really have an agenda for this show. So I just kind of came on and said, I'm just gonna come on and talk about this stuff because I know people are talking about it. Yeah, Amazon seller says we're still making money on books and FBA, but only sending in the better ranked books for $20. 3 years ago, we're sending one for $7. Still made money. Yeah, sending $7 books today doesn't really make sense. Not FBA. I don't know if I have the energy to learn a new platform, especially as complex as Amazon. I don't think it's that complex. And I think in areas where it is complex, there's other areas where it's simpler than, say, eBay. The fee structure is simpler to me. It's probably a little more expensive, I would argue, overall, but sell-through and pricing is also better. So maybe it's a wash. I don't know. But I think the process of setting up to be a seller and scanning things and listing on an ASIN instead of photographs and writing a description, much simpler to me, in my mind, so much easier. And their back end, like the reporting and being able to, it's night and day between Amazon and eBay in those areas. I think Prime is not as desirable anymore as most other platforms have guaranteed shipping now. I see this being an issue for Amazon in the future. Actually, it's not. Well, I appreciate that comment, Sadie. It's not so much just their main sales point. It's actually their loss leader. I mean, Amazon doesn't make money on Prime. But the other day they have 100 million Prime customers. That's a lot of people. And that's a lot of customers for one platform to have. So I think that, I mean, Prime could go away and be replaced by other things. And yes, but Amazon's got such a head start on their competitors. They're going to be tough to catch for a while. Eventually they will. Eventually they'll screw it up and go down the tubes probably. Most businesses do. But I'm not going to worry about it in the short run. CDs are a better route. Yeah, CDs are great too. If you can find, yeah, they're cheaper, lighter. You definitely can ship in a lot more in one box. You know, you have a little more to look at there just to make sure they're not scratched and jewel cases break, but those can be replaced. It's easier to list on Amazon than eBay. Yeah, no doubt. It's easier. I mean, it's just easier. I would so love if someone created a clothes scanning app. Wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah. Yes, it would be amazing. I just listed a book while listening. Well, there you go. I hope you sell it. Every item has $3 to $50 to $4 in fees. You have to add that to your cost of goods to see if it's worth selling. Yes, there are fees on it. Fortunately, the Amazon Seller app tells you the fees when you scan an item. You know, unlike eBay's, it doesn't. But the Amazon Seller app, when you scan an item, you can go right in there and see what it would cost you if you ship it merchant fulfilled or ship an FBA. You can compare it very easily and put in your own cost. So it does the work for you. Do you have a Bluetooth scanner? Not yet. No, but I'm definitely looking for one. I definitely want to buy a used one. I don't want to pay all that money for a new one. I just think that, I don't know. I think a used one would be fine. But if somebody's got a different opinion, let me know. I'm thinking maybe that the KCI one? There's KCI and Opticon, and I don't know. There's 2 or 3 of them. Sell everything valuable, Prof. No need to get tunneled into categories. Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, I just think niches are easier to figure out than, but for sure. But I'm not going to go into a store and scan everything in said store necessarily. Like I would like to start in niches, and maybe I'll grow in those, just like I did in eBay. But we'll see. Business has to evolve. Yes, I agree. Diane says she loves Amazon. It's less work than eBay. I would agree with that. I mean, Amazon is less work. eBay is just, it's different. It's a different kind of model for sure. Yeah, we haven't even talked to Kelly's saying if I knew how to sell my own brand. We haven't even talked about private label. And I know virtually nothing about private label other than it exists. And I've watched one presentation on it when I was at the Green Room event last year. And the presentation was great, but I don't even know enough to tell you how to get started in private label, but it's a thing. And if you do that and you get it right, you can kill it in private label for no doubt about it. And that's something you can take off of Amazon if you need to, which is pretty cool. And you'll never have to worry about being gated and restrictions and things like that. You have to be ungated to sell CDs. Yeah, it used to be everybody was ungated in CDs. I'm pretty sure I still am, unless something changed. Let's see. If it doesn't sell immediately, aren't there fees per month? Yes, there are storage fees. I mean, if you're selling an FBA, yeah, and you got to take that into account. The cool thing is you can see on sales rank charts kind of where things sell. Like textbooks are a great example. Textbooks, which are, by the way, some of the better book flips you can find, but textbooks tend to sell in two periods. They tend to sell in August and they tend to sell in January, which is when semesters start for colleges, right? Makes sense. But the rest of the year, they do sell, but you'll see like the sales rank will kind of drop and you'll see a sale and then it'll come up and then they'll drop. And then in textbook season, that rank gets really good, you know? So, you know, like I was thinking about today, I was like, man, if you listed your textbooks in July, then because I think the long-term storage fees are every 6 months. So if you listed your textbooks in July, you would capture the August season and the January season without getting hit by the long-term storage fees. I don't know if that's what textbook sellers do, but I'm probably going to do that. Instead of sending them in now, because then I would incur a long-term storage fee 6 months from now before the next season of textbook selling hit. So you can kind of game the system a little bit there just by when you send things in. You don't have to scan everything, Prof. You just need the skills. I know, and I haven't. I'll show you guys. I've been using an app, and I am still a noob at this. Why does it always say that? Oh, probably because I reset the database. I bet I did. So, yeah, so I've only scanned. Oh, no, that's right. So I've only scanned, I don't know if you guys can see that, 182 items so far, which is not even how many books like a store would have in it. But a lot of the books are not necessarily going to, you probably still should scan them anyway, but a lot of the books are not going to be applicable. I mean, like kids trade paperbacks. It's incredibly unlikely that you could sell those. Oh, I did hear today when I was listening to a podcast. Well, that's true. Like say, take like the Harry Potter books or something like that. By themselves, they're not worth much. But if you bundle them together, like the whole set, they can sell for decent money because people will pay a premium to get all of them at once. So there are exceptions to that. But ultimately, you could go in and scan just everything, and then you've covered it. And you also learn then like what, you know, works better. I mean, typically from what I understand, nonfiction, textbooks are obviously great, nonfiction, other types of books, religious types of books. There's some of those that are really good. But you definitely can learn to cherry pick a bit. Although, you know, you certainly don't have to. Let's see. I think certain CD companies have restricted items. Depends on how old your account is. I can sell some. Yeah, I think my account is 3 years old, so I'm not sure what how that'll work. I have to go back and look. Maybe 3 years. It's at least 2 years. It might be 3 years. I can't remember. Hey, from South Dakota. What's up, Eileen? There's a new Amazon inventory update coming. Watch those storage fees and watch your inventory health for sure. I mean, I appreciate things like inventory health and the way they track inventory for you on Amazon. Light years ahead. Because if I ask you guys right now, tell me the aging metrics of your inventory. How many of you could do it? Be honest. How many of you could really tell me what percentage of items you've had listed for a month, what percentage you've had listed for 3 months, 6 months, a year, more, and then what you are going to do about those categories? Could you very easily and quickly go change those things on eBay? Maybe some of you could, depending on how you set up labels and SKUs. You can do that stuff on Amazon. It's a breeze. So much easier. It's not even close. So I appreciate the way they set up their inventory and the way they set up their back end for that stuff. I think it's amazing. They do it. It allows you as a business owner to take control of your inventory, take control of your business, your metrics. You can know your metrics. You can know how much you're paying in fees, what percentage it is. You can see data back as far as you want. You can figure out, what you should dump. Amazon will dispose of items for you. Sometimes they will charge you. Sometimes they'll send it back to you. It just depends on what the item is. So, I mean, there's all kinds of advantages there with dealing with inventory that I really do like quite a bit. And books are something that you could end up, just disposing of them after a while if they just weren't selling. It's not worth maybe getting them sent back to you. Yes, the long-term storage fees start on September 15th, calculated on a monthly basis, no longer every 6 months. So what is this Scanny Appy thing? That particular one is one called Scout IQ. And no, I do not have any sort of affiliation with them. Wish I did. It's put out by a guy named Caleb Roth, who's thebookflipper.com. I think he's got a YouTube channel as well. And super sharp guy, great app. It allows you, so when you scan a book, let me see if I can find one here. I'll show you what it does. Maybe I can get a little demonstration. I'm going to mess up my scan right here. You guys are messing up my metrics. So let me do one quick thing here, and I'm going to show you a book that I got today. So this book, this is a textbook, Exploring Creation with Physics, and you can see it's a big, thick book, very heavy. It's got barcode on the back, right? And looks like it might have been a library copy. It's got a label in here I might have to take off, but it's coming right off. So what happens is you have a screen where you scan it and you set up, you go in here and it's got like a little, let's see if I can get that to, you can type in an ISBN there or you can scan with that little orange button. So I'm going to see if I can get this to, if you guys can hear it. This should give me a positive. Let's hope it does. This will be embarrassing. Did you hear that little bling? And you can see that that book is an accept, and it comes up and it pulls up all this cool data for you. And it says the profit is $19.67 with a zero buy cost. Now I paid $1.50 for this book, so it'll be that minus $1.50. It's got a good rank, 365,000 textbooks, which is good, and probably looking to sell it around $34. So after fees and cost of goods and everything, I'll probably look to profit somewhere around about 18 bucks, which I'm good with. So if it had not come up with a plus, I don't know if I have another book. We're not here to show you guys. It would came up and it would have said reject. And the cool thing about this little software is you set up, and it also tells you some other stuff, like it tells you sales rank, it tells you lowest use, e-score. It would have said reject, and the cool thing about this app is it allows you to set these things called triggers, which just allow you to figure out based on certain metrics whether or not you want to accept something. So you can control what you're willing to accept for profit and risk level and things like that. So it's a pretty cool little app. And this was like the best one I found today. And I was in the store for like 25 minutes, probably a little less than 30. And our books here are $1.50 for hardback and 99 cents for paperback at Goodwill's. I was just at a Goodwill, just one that I knew had textbooks before. And I found this one in 5 other books that I'm going to sell. The other 5 are not as good. So I don't know how much it'll be between them all. Probably like, maybe $35 in profit, something like that. I'm still kind of learning. But I feel like if I stayed there longer and texted and probably scanned a few more, I probably could have found more. But I'm kind of cherry picking. But that is what's great about, things like that. Like there's so many things in the back end that you can use to figure out, if something's worth selling or not. You just can't do that with clothing, guys. I mean, or a lot of things on eBay. It's like the software is just not there. You've got to look up history and solds and completed. And that's what's funny. Like all of us that are YouTubers and creators and so on, we would tell you when we're asked, well, will this sell? We would say, well, just look at completeds and solds. But even we can't tell you because we don't know, oh, it's got a really good chance of selling because of this and this and this and completes and solds. We don't know that. We don't, because the data is just not there. It's kind of a guess. And I hate guessing. If I'm going to make a guess, I want to make a really educated guess. And I feel like every time I'm trying to figure out if something will sell on eBay or not, it's a guess. It's a pie in the sky, shot in the dark. Oh, well, there's 500 listed and 208 have sold in the past 90 days. So maybe, I don't know. Who knows? So it just frustrates me. And that was part of the reason why I'm looking to be a more, a model where I can figure out if something's really going to move or not. Let's see. What else we got here? Great questions, guys, by the way. All of a sudden, it feels like the chat died, though. So maybe. What are you ungating on Amazon when you open a new store, PROF sales? That's a good question. Well, I can't remember offhand. I think it was like toys, video games, books, CDs you were, but apparently maybe you're not anymore. Some maybe electronics. I can tell you some of the things you're not ungated in. You're not ungated, I don't think anymore. I don't think in clothing. I think I had to get ungated in clothing. You're not ungated in health and personal care and beauty, which those are great categories for Amazon, by the way. If you can get ungated in those. You're not ungated in automotive, although I am now. Luggage, I am now. And the cool thing about Amazon is sometimes they just get ungated if you ask. Like they have these rolling periods where they just ungate people and unrestrict people in certain categories. And there's no telling when it's going to be. But it's happened multiple times over the last few years. And because I'll see in some of my groups, they're like, oh, Amazon's ungating people today and blah, blah, blah. All I did was apply. I didn't have to send them any proof of anything. So I think it's just when like they have people fall out of categories or they think the category is growing maybe and they need more sellers. I don't know. Amazon's got some sort of, algorithm going there, I'm sure. That's a lot of time spent for the amount of profit you're getting. Yeah, Connie, but I'm a noob. Like I don't think that I don't even think I'm remotely good at this yet because I'm still kind of trapped in the old mindset of I've got to go to a certain few places. And I'm starting to realize like that is not, I've been to a couple of estate sales before where I know because I did source those for books every once in a while that have been amazing for books because people, what they have in their personal library sometimes is kept in incredibly great condition. And sometimes it's stuff you cannot find anymore. If you find like a doctor's estate sale or an engineer or a nurse or somebody like that, you could kill it in their books because they may have some amazing books there that they used when they were, going through. Now, if they're real old, not so much. But they may have some amazing books that they're going through there that you could flip for some really great money. And people at estate sales just want to get rid of books. Like they don't want to fool with them. Like they're like, oh, it's $1 a book and I got a couple hundred here, but give me $50 and you can have them all. I mean, they don't care. Like it's just get these out of my face. And you can always sell things if you buy things in bulk like that that don't work on Amazon, FBA, or merchant fulfilled, you still could sell them locally to other people, or even just donate them to your favorite charity and get a tax write-off, which is good for the charity too. That if they sell them as well. Can you sell new shoes without the box on Amazon? That is a great question, and I don't know the answer. I'm sure there's somebody here in the chat who does though. Let's see. Our local college buys back current textbooks, so you don't find many textbooks that are Goodwill. Yeah, but the problem is colleges, Yvette, don't like. There's an opportunity for you. Why not get in between the college and the buyers? Because I bet you your college doesn't pay that great of money for them. I bet you they pay really low amounts, and because they got to flip them back out the next semester. So look for a way to maybe get in between that college and, buyers at a better price that still works for you. So there you go. Jeanette says you cannot sell no box shoes anymore. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I kind of thought that, but I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say that it was for sure that, but I thought that was the case. So there we go. People are saying it, so maybe it's true. Do you have to buy a store subscription to start selling on Amazon? Nope. You can get what's called a professional seller account, and the advantage of that is you pay $40 a month. And there's some other advantage, but the big advantage is if you sell more than 40 items a month, you don't have to pay the $1 fee per item that Amazon charges. So it's a straight math problem. If you know you're going to sell more than 40 items a month, get a professional seller account. If you don't, then you don't necessarily have to. So there you go. I would recommend having the original box with anything you sell on Amazon. Yep, that's true. Totally agree. They definitely, selling something is new on Amazon, like selling books new on Amazon, I'm not even going to do it. I don't care if the book is new. I'm not going to do it because people are super picky about it, especially when they're paying a premium. And if they claim that it's not new, and you don't need that trouble. A lot of people dumpster dive for textbook at colleges. Thanks, Elisa. You just gave me a new way to source. That's pretty funny. They send a 1099 like PayPal. Yep, sure. They have a tax info part that's pretty cool. It's pretty simple. That's the other thing. You don't have a third-party intermediary like PayPal. Amazon handles their own processing in-house. I don't know if they contract it out or whatever, but there is nobody else to deal with that. Like, they're handling it in-house. So how old can textbooks be to make it worth your while? That's a great question, Lady Liberty Stacker. And I don't know the 100% answer to that. I would guess as long as colleges are still using that textbook, or sometimes what happens is students, they'll get their syllabus and so on, and it's like, oh, I need this book, but the one from last year was pretty much the same book, and I can get it a lot cheaper, and they'll just buy it. For those of you who've been in college, you know how this works. It's a racket. They put out these textbooks, and the next year they put out virtually the same book and charge a lot of money for some of these books. Some of these books are hundreds of dollars. It's crazy when they're new. So there is a huge used market because these kids, they have to have them, or at least they feel like they do, but they don't want to pay can you imagine walking to the bookstore and come out with a $3,000 bill for your books? It's nuts. So, it can be a few years depending on the book. It just depends. Which Amazon app was that again? Scout IQ. Yep, you got it. Kids will look online to sell them higher. Not always. They will, but they're a lot of times clueless about what they have. Because they're like, oh, I paid 100 for it, I should be able to sell it for 80. It's not how it works. They might sell it to another kid, but the problem, see, that here is where the opportunity comes in with textbooks. So right now, kids are getting ready to graduate from college, right? Usually in May, beginning of May. And they got all these textbooks they don't even need anymore. And they want to sell them. But nobody's buying right now. Only somebody who has taken a course in summer school, and that's not a lot of students. That's not a big percentage of the population. they're going to have to sit on those books for like 3 months before they're really going to be valuable again. But they're like, well, I'd really like to get some money out of them now. So that's where your opportunity comes in. Like now is like a time when you have that opportunity to say, well, yeah, sure, you might sell it for $100 back in August, but right now I can give you 50. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, and it's true. And then professors don't use the books, so they never had to purchase to begin with. Yeah, that's sad. Don't even get me started on higher education. And I was involved with it for a few years. It just, that's a conversation for a whole nother show. There's probably a lot of booksellers who hit up my town. I never find good textbooks. Yeah, I mean, most textbooks are, there's like other books. Like there aren't a super great number of them. But some of the ones that are great are really great. So, but I'm not trying to convince you guys to go sell books. I prefer you don't. It's probably because I would just say that you I would want to persuade you to like reevaluate your business and your business model, and is it doing it for you? And if it's not, then you need to go in another direction. That I would encourage you to do. So higher education is a joke. All that money for what? To get an entry-level job. You're not, I mean, no argument here. Too tall. I'm not going to get on the higher education soapbox today, but it's because I could talk for 3 hours on it. Do books generally sell more for Amazon versus eBay? They don't seem to do much on eBay except for certain types. Yes, they do. They do tend to sell for more on Amazon than eBay, for sure. Books will be saturated on Amazon after this video. Yep, this video is the end. All those other videos that people did, even with bigger channels than mine, those didn't matter. But this one is going to be the tipping point. I love how much power I have on this channel. I should just do that in nefarious ways and say, hey, stop doing this. Will that work too? And then I'll just do it and I'll corner the market. I don't think it works that way. Not if they read the chat. That's amazing. Reselling is a trade. I trade stuff all day long. That's true. I look at it as being a personal shopper for buyers I will never meet. We'll have to hit up my old students graduating the nursing program. Yes. Nursing books are expensive, and they definitely have there's definitely some good potential there. Amazon used to be the place to go for books. Many people still think so. Yeah, because so many people have Prime memberships because they get Prime for other reasons. Not even just, they get Prime for the movies. They get Prime for, obviously to get free shipping on orders. I mean, they get it for other reasons. And then you just are the beneficiary of that as a bookseller. Do a show on creating bundles for eBay. Yeah, I know, right? I would if I knew how to do it, but I really don't. This is the end all to all books. So, all right. Well, listen, guys, we're pretty much at the end of the hour. I want to thank you guys for coming out today. Over 100 people on this. I hope that kind of clears some things up about the direction of me and this channel and Kaaren and everything we're doing. But if not, scroll back and watch it. So one thing I'm going to ask you to do before you leave, click that little share button right below the player. It creates a little post, a little link. Just share it with somebody else. I know you guys are doing it because I can see the metrics. I see that you are, and I do absolutely appreciate it. And I like, maybe somebody else who wants to sell books on Amazon will get something out of this video, which would be cool. So it lets me know I'm doing a good job as well. So just click the share button right down below, generate that post, and share it with somebody you think might be interested in it. So we should be back on Friday, probably just me. I don't know what the heck I'm going to talk about, but hopefully you guys will be here and we'll have another conversation. So, all right, guys, keep thinking about it, keep working on it, and keep knocking it out of the park, as I'm sure you're going to all go do. And this is Prof Sales saying good sales to you.